Absolutely beautiful. My gosh.
Yeah, you missed the boat there, Jace. I was expecting you to go, and the power of Jace.
Jay Skull. Sorry, it feels like it's been months since we've done one of these.
It has been a little bit of a beat. We've decided to take a bit of a break because it's also wonderful, the world of He-Man. It sometimes gets a bit overwhelming. But we are back, and we are back strong to talk about a show that we'll now be going full strength on, Jason, and getting through, and that is He-Man and the Master of the Universe, the 2021 reboot from Netflix. Would you call it a reboot?
I would call it a reimagining more than anything else, yeah, because they just take the skeleton of He-Man and they build something brand new and wonderful around it. And I think it needs more praise than what it gets.
Well, today, as we've talked about some previous episodes, we're talking about episodes 8, 9, and 10. And if you've watched previous episodes, you would also know that I walked into this series a little bit, I don't know about this, and have been won over. So at this point, I'm invested. And so I was very curious to see how they would handle the last 3 episodes of the season. Let's get into it with the first one being episode 8, The Calm Before the Storm, Jason.
Yes.
And it starts off pretty cool, this episode, if you remember, Jace, because the folks are getting an upgrade via our good man Skeletor, who's really good blacksmith, apparently.
Well, he's good at lots of things. This is Skeletor. He could probably sing if he wanted to.
This is a more competent Skeletor in the
Yes,
show.
very much so.
Like, he seems to get things done and is not foiled. I haven't seen much of him going, So
he very rarely has to. I mean, if you really think about it, Skeletor wins.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. This is the competent Skeletor, the more dangerous Skeletor. And if I may say so, second only to Alan Oppenheimer, I think this is the best Skeletor voice we've seen in a very long time because he brings in the Alan Oppenheimer tones and yet does something new and different with it, kind of turning it into one of these things, which works. It's a cross between Skeletor and the Joker, except Mark Hamill's not doing the voice, and it just sounds right. And I had a problem with Mark Hamill doing the voice of Skeletor because I don't think he sounds like Skeletor. I still kind of do. But the guy who does the voice here, he makes it work, and it's kind of Jokerish. I don't know. I can't explain it. And I have nothing but respect for Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I really do like the Skeletor quite a bit. Even though it took me a little bit to get over the design, I'm kind of in it.
I love the design. I think the design really works.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It grows on you, I think.
Yeah.
I think once you're in, you're kind of in.
The way that they use the lighting from the chest, the green light that's always shining upwards, I think he looks so menacing all the time.
But there is treachery afoot here, Jason, because Rakkaz...
Treachery on Snake Mountain? No way!
Oh, I know, shocking, right? But obviously, not obviously, but Evelyn and Cronus had hired... Cringe's arch enemy, Rakkaz, to help them overthrow Skeletor. That's the thing. But, Skeletor's on top of it. So he's using his... It feels like shows have got everyone's got their own mineral. Unobtainium, vibranium. And here we've got Carbonite.
Yes, Carbonite.
Carbonite is the secret source to Skeletor's power. Yes. And he makes great powers, So, yeah. And begins up, because he's like the best blacksmith in all of Eternia, clearly, he conjures up a storm. He's got such mad skills, Jason. He conjures up a giant storm because...
Of course he does. He's magic. He's magic, man.
Why he doesn't have his own reality TV show, kind of like, those car refurb shows, but it's Skeletor making weapons? I don't know.
Welcome to Pimp My Staff. Evelyn, would you like to pimp my staff with me? Why is she giving me the finger? Oh, my goodness.
All right. But there's some pretty heady stuff going in here because the storm goes ahead and hits Eternia. And what's going on here is... some really powerful son and father revelations happen in this episode. But before we get there, we should kind of go that the team isn't completely all together at the moment, are they, Jace?
No. Kraz has decided to roll up into a ball and disappear because she's just antisocial, I guess. She doesn't like where the team is going, so she goes off on her own, and it's
It
you kind
is
of get
kind of not
it's,
well explained enough
it's
for me.
really not.
You know, why she bails?
It gets better explained as the series goes on, but right now it's not well explained, and so the impact of her being gone, it feels more like, well, she's just a brat.
Yeah,
that's really what it feels like.
Yeah, like there was no stakes. Well, at that time, there's no stakes to it. So when she does return, we don't. There was no kind of returning, you know. But yeah, that's kind of the team split up, and but it is really about Randor and Adam. I feel like is the heart of this episode. Do you think that's a fair statement, Jason?
I think that is more than a fair statement. I think that they are the entire episode, to be honest. I know we had stuff with Skeletor and the team, but it was the conversation with He-Man and Randor, Randor's feelings about the power of Grayskull and his feelings towards He-Man, and the eventual revelation that He-Man finally tells Randor everything. One, very surprised that happened this early in the season, in the series. And two, it felt right because that's what a kid would do.
It also felt like, wow, they're dealing with things they set up early in the season now. And one of the big things that I felt set up was Adam's resentment towards his father because he felt his father never tried to come and find him or try to rescue him. Felt like a lot of abandonment issues going on in Adam's head. And that kind of comes to the forefront, doesn't it? And it kind of is still motivating behind Adam's anger towards his father. Because, hey, this isn't resolved in 22 minutes.
No, it is not.
Ongoing issue. So, and which I really appreciate too. They're not really trying to close doors here. But why is it this time, especially in this show, and we've taken a couple of months off, we've gone back to revisit it, that I watch this again and go, the stakes are bigger in this version of He-Man than I've seen in a while. Everything seems to be well executed in the way of like, this situation matters. Yes. And it's not superfluous. It matters to the overall plot that we're kind of getting to, which I kind of like.
There are stakes, and it's not just world-ending stakes, which are, of course, important, but it's also personal stakes. It's the lives of these characters. You have, Adam, for example, has his life with the Tiger Tribe, and then he has his life as He-Man. He has his life with the life that he was denied with his family, and it's all crashing into each other. And as you said, the stakes for that are humongous, and it's done so well.
Not just the main characters we've got stakes. Everybody's playing now.
Yes, definitely.
Including Teela, who seems to be going through... Well, they're all going through big changes, but her seems kind of existential, like big time. So...
Yes.
Because she has to... She's the chosen one, basically, isn't she? She's the... she's the Matrix. She's the John. She's the I was about to say John Wick. Wrong franchise.
I don't think we need to go that far, but no.
Yeah, she's the, in a way, the Neo of this. So, really like her. I, in the beginning, did not like Duncan. Duncan has grown on me, Jace. I'm cool with Duncan
I can see that.
now. Yeah. I'm not as he doesn't feel like as torturous and is a bit, as his older version is in the other, the body parts.
He's not quite as diabolically, reanimator-ish.
Yeah, kind of, World War II Nazi kind of surgeon. Yeah. So here's the other thing that I found real, because the storm, which basically takes over most of the episode, there's a couple of poignant moments when they reconnect Randor and Adam. It's a beautiful moment right at the beginning of that. It's a beautiful moment. Father finds his son, can't believe is overjoyed. His son feels, I feel validated in that moment. And then it's Randor saying, you need to give up your powers. Yeah. Is the big thing here, because Like, who are you? You've abandoned, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm Adam, you've abandoned me. You don't care about me. You're happy to see me in one breath, and in the next breath, you want to give up everything I had so I can help the citizens of Eternia and feel like I have purpose. And you just want me to give that up.
Yeah, I thought that was just such great dialogue fodder. But it makes sense in the lore of the series. It does make sense. You can understand why Randor would say something like that. Why he does think that the power of Grayskull is dangerous. And
Yes.
how the fact that his son is wielding it could be very terrifying as a father. The son that you just realized, oh my gosh, my son is alive.
Yeah. And knowing that you're young, you're impetuous, reckless, you can be, but he hasn't given the time to really understand Adam, to know whether he has matured enough to handle the power or he's not. So it's so well done, and everything in it. And we get to see a really great scene in this episode,
Yes.
if you remember this scene, where we kind of get the flashback, the replay as such, of a moment between a very young Adam and a Keldor, I believe. So
Yeah, it was great. I love the way it was played out with Eldris watching it all. I thought, I don't know, Eldris is such a great character, just mysterious and ethereal, and just you honestly even throughout the course of the series, you learn very little about who she is and where she comes from.
she's actually frustrated me a couple of times where I thought maybe she could have intervened and she didn't, but that's part of her. She's a guide, right? I mean,
She can't intervene.
She can't intervene.
Yeah, she
It's just-
can't.
I've been dealing with that since 1982. Let's face it. Like,
Ha.
get involved, lady. Like, you can solve some things. You just, it's nice outside. Go outside occasionally.
Yeah. She can't. You'll find out why she can't.
Some of the other great things in here. Well, I think this episode ends. Is this the one where it ends with? No, I'm jumping ahead. Let's stay focused. Stay on target. Stay on target.
Stay on target.
But it is Tila and the
Help me,
Eldris.
Tila. You are our only hope.
It is very much like that, isn't it? But it's
Look how thick Eldris is, though. I mean, dang.
yeah. She's tall. I will give her that.
She is tall. She is tall, and she is thick where it counts.
She and is not a great teacher. Let's be honest. Because if I was Tila, I'd be getting really frustrated with something.
Oh yeah, me too. Well, they got to keep these characters. They have to keep these characters, purposely opaque so that the surprises can come later.
Here are the boys working together again, Jace. For a fleeting moment, they were a team, Jace. They were father and son working together, and that was really good.
That was cool.
Even
And
though it
Randor
felt
can
like-
hold his own. He is
He knows how
not
to
a
fight.
yeah, he knows how to fight. He is not a wimp.
No, he's not. He's not. But yeah, it was a wonderful episode, and certainly in the background of the episode now, we've got a slightly a treacherous group who are plotting something in the background, but I'm pretty sure Skeletor's already aware of this, right?
Oh yeah, this is competent Skeletor. Competent and confident. He knows what's up.
Can I say this episode named Calm Before the Storm is actually a perfect description of the function of this episode? as
Oh,
well?
absolutely. Just kind of like a setup for everything else that's coming later.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is, so they didn't muck around with that, so I appreciate that. We get into the next two episodes, which are really one episode split into a two-parter, which they didn't split. They didn't split over a season. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Because
so
that would have
much.
been the obvious thing back in the day, wouldn't it? Well, we'll hold over the second part of that episode, so we've got our season-ending cliffhanger. But I got mad respect for these guys. They didn't
Yeah,
do
well,
that.
it did end in a cliffhanger, but still, it was a cliffhanger where it was logical to jump off of instead of just like,
Yeah, no, it wasn't it was a
He-Man,
cliffhanger, and there's like,
fire.
here's what's next. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. All right, and we get into that. It's called He-Man and the Master Universe, Cry Havoc, Part 1, Jace. Now, it's the Carbonite, isn't it? It's the
Carbonite.
It's
Carbonite.
that is the stuff that is, because as we get into this, the Masters minus Ram Man, because Ram Man's she's going to get her groove
on a
back. She's
journey
like
of
Stella
self-discovery or something. I don't know.
The Masters charge, they get ballsy here, and they decide to have a crack at Skeletor's lair.
Yes.
Which is like, where did that come from? But, you know, you got to do something about it sooner or later, don't you?
Yes, and it does lead to probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire first season, because it injected some much needed humor into these dour last episodes, and that is Adam and Duncan and Tila and Cringer walking up to the gates of Snake Mountain. Skeletor knows he's there, and he's on a microphone, and he says, it's like, it took you long enough. And Adam just kind of goes, what do you want from us? I can't hear you. I have a microphone. You don't. That whole bit. And then they go through the change, and Skeletor's line just like, well, that took a long time. Just that's me all season. Like, this is taking a long time.
Look, your payoff is good in this episode, because we do get Skeletor uses his Havoc powers to turn these minions into the Dark Masters, and it's the Dark Masters that pieces all the missing things you had in your head about what these current versions were and how different they were, and they kind of resolve it with the Dark Master versions of themselves.
Yes, which I love the designs. I think the designs are great.
Evil Lyn looked phenomenal.
Yes.
So did Trapjaw and Beastman. They all look phenomenal.
Okay, I'm going to say something controversial. Best version of Beastman we've gotten. He looks awesome.
It does look
I think Trapjaw's a little too much, and I think Evil Lyn, the bat wings on her head is a little too much, but they got Beastman right, and he's my favorite iteration.
Is probably the on point one. My problem with Trapjaw is his jaw almost goes to like 180 degrees vertical.
Yeah, it's just weird, and I think that like his mechanical parts
his head's too small for the rest of his body.
Exactly, that's it. I want to call attention to another favorite part of mine, because they did bring some humor into this, and the humor was actually really funny when Skeletor introduces himself, and they're like, what happened to his face? I think that skull is his face. You know, because you're realizing, this is the first time they've seen him as Skeletor. Yes. And then he says, I am Skeletor. Why? Because of my face and my head. Then shouldn't you be Skeletor?
Duncan says that, doesn't he? And I thought that was brilliant.
That was brilliant.
He's got a point.
He does have a point. But Skeletor. I just love little self-aware, self-referential humor like that, and they just injected it in just all the right parts. They
do it sneakily, don't they? You don't notice, like you kind of see it coming, and just they'll slip out a couple of lines.
At this point, He-Man and his team are super overconfident, so of course they're going to joke. Yeah. And whenever they start getting their butts handed to them, the joking stops. And I think that's a very good narrative point, because you do kind of undo that tension. You're like, they're going to be fine. Oh, they're not fine anymore.
But we get the first fight between He-Man and Skeletor in this series.
Yes, we do.
Which I thought was pretty great.
All the fighting was really good.
It was really good, because they all kind of teed up again, didn't they? And let's face it, they're getting their backsides handed to them. So, and that's what makes the episode really good, because when it does kick into action, it kicks into action.
It does. And this episode begins the theme that, and Eldris even says that at one point, the Dark Masters have risen. The Dark Masters were chosen very specifically by the series, who they were going to use. Because you'll notice there's no Merman, there's no Triclops. Those characters do come later, but they're not there now. And they did this for a very specific reason. It's because every character in the Dark Masters is a mirror of every characters in the Masters of the Universe. You have Duncan, who's a builder, and you have Trapjaw, who's a destroyer. You have Cringer, who is master of the wild, and you have Beastman, who's a master of captivity. You have Tila, who's a sorceress of light, versus Evil Lyn, who's a sorceress of the dark. And of course, you got He-Man and Skeletor. The only one who does not have a counterpart is Ram Man. And the reason for that is one of the things that I actually think redeems her character later on in the series. So I'll let you noodle that one for a while.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah, Skeletor manages though in a real shock moment in this episode. He manages to break the sword of power in half. Like, wow,
Yes,
I
it
did not
was
see that coming, right?
Super dramatic. Yes.
Because, like, you don't F with the sword, right? You don't think the sword is that vulnerable. But what it does, it cuts the Masters off from the power of Grayskull. So it's basically cutting the power to them. So they're kind of...
it is an Achilles heel.
But things get better for Skeletor because Skeletor's having a great day. He also gets to brainwash one of the generals in Attorney General Dolus, I believe, and gets to take control of the Red Legion, and which is pretty intense, I would say, to be in control of the Red Legion, right? Because that looks like...
Oh, yeah, because that's a lot of red.
Yeah, a lot of people were just a little bit scared. So, yep. As we'll just keep going through there, we get to see Ram Mam a little bit in this, don't we? We're starting to Orko's trying to figure out, hey, what's the deal going on here with you? You know, you're right. Like, don't you think you should come home? And she's pretty much in denial, isn't she?
She is, and like I said, the writing here was kind of weak. She comes off more as a brat than anything else. But
she does a little bit, which I really
she was
an early. Yeah.
She is redeemed later on, but right now with this one episode, it's just, well, who are you? Who do you think you are right now?
Yeah.
You know, your friend. You should be happy for your friend not being such a brat.
Meanwhile, back in
God, I just love Battle Cat's design.
Battle Cat's
so awesome.
Amazing. And so does Duncan. I really like Duncan's look too. Love the hammer. But yeah, we now get to see some of these masters. We get to see, Beastman looks rock solid, doesn't he?
He does. He looks amazing.
Maybe
the bat wings or just get rid of them altogether. I think that just the crown.
The bat wings, especially her dark magic. Every time she turns, they do that effect where the galaxy stays still. If you know what I mean. So she'll turn around and her ears will move. But the galaxy contained in that thing doesn't move. It stays
it's like
still.
this.
Yes, exactly like that. Yes, exactly like that. A little bit less dramatic and maybe not the face.
The secrets of Grayskull are being revealed.
Yeah, that's it. And then we've got we can't really. Oh, I'm trying to find Trapjaw. Here we go. Here's Trapjaw. Yeah, the mouth's too much. Too much.
Oh my goodness.
I don't like the eyes.
He looks like a leech.
Yeah.
No, I think they went too much with this one.
Yeah. I agree.
I love the design for Orko. What I wanted to get to was
show. This part in the episode where they've been defeated. Now they're trapped.
Yes.
They've been defeated and they're now trapped in this thing which is sinking. He's going to drown them in the goo. He's
going to turn them into more dark masters. Well, he's not going to drown them. He's going to turn them evil. He's going to make more dark masters.
Yeah, but he's going to drown them in the goo to turn them evil. Basically.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and it's all going down, and it does not end like. If you all of a sudden your Netflix subscription ended there, you'd be rather annoyed if we got cut off at the end of episode 9.
Wow, who made this series? David Lynch? My goodness.
Well, yeah, that's it. And let's get cracking into episode 10, which is inventively called Kai Havoc Part 2.
Yes.
Yeah, wow, that's not.
They were really the writers earned their money with that title.
Yeah. But because it really is just one long episode, because this episode starts where the last episode finished, with them now underwater, in the goo, all trying not to breathe and suck in the goo to become evil.
Yes.
Which then creates
suck in the goo to become evil. My goodness.
Yeah, I know. My the way I describe things.
It's very odd. Yes.
But now we get a scene where, at that point, I'm like, did they die? Are they now in purgatory? But they're
Preternia.
like- yeah. But they're in this kind of the void. Would you call it the void? Whatever. The
Goodness,
world in
it's like-
between worlds. How does
It's
that
like a
sound?
couple of hams underneath a dress. I mean, look at that. My
Badonka-donk.
goodness.
All right.
That is a
Let's move it on.
badonkadonk. Everybody else
Keep it
got a badinkadink. She got a badonkadonk.
But no, some wise words because mainly she's very smart and very wise. She made them realise that no, they have an option, they have a choice, they need to stand together, and they can break out of this. And with the will of something, they were able to get through.
The
Not
wheel
really
of
well
agony?
thought out.
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? And now we're at the beginning of the episode where not only they get out, here's the return. And you can lightly see the executive producers there because I paused it right at that
Adam
moment.
Burnett, Rob David, Christopher Keenan, Frederick
Yep.
Soleil, and Jeff Matsuda.
There
Thank
go,
you
give a
all
shout
for
out,
this
boys.
television series.
But Ram-Man's back and it's all cool in the gang, right?
Yeah, well, kinda. He's here temporary because I'm still being a brat.
Yeah.
Also, I want my powers back, you jerks.
Yeah. It's my one criticism is that part of it. But now
Yeah.
you've got me really interested because you say, well, it kind of pays off in the end.
I wouldn't say it pays off. I just think that they explain it better later.
Ah,
But
okay.
it does happen near the end of the series.
Wow, really? So I've got to
Yeah.
wait a couple more seasons, really?
Just a couple. This show unfortunately didn't last very long.
I
Look at
love
me, I'm
this moment.
Skeletor, and I'm an evil little troll doll.
Because they make their move there, Jace.
Yes, they do.
They make their move to betray him, and he tosses them aside and controls
Like
them
the
with
garbage
so
they
much
are.
gleeful ease. It was just like a slight, oh, it's time to do this now. I now control you all. Skeletor's really great in the series. I think they've kind of done something here. Maybe, I love Skeletor from Revolution. Revelation, not Revolution. I
Revelations,
haven't seen
yes.
that one yet. That's next year.
It's not out yet.
I really love that personality of Skeletor. I'm not talking about just the voice artist, but how they interpreted Skeletor. But this one, he's great. He's a real it's the first time I go up to a Skeletor thinking like he could not only beat me up, but he can outwit me as well. He's a true
Yeah.
threat. So
He is ruthless,
pretty great.
and he's conniving, and he's intelligent, and he has fun doing it.
yeah.
Just the whole dismissive thing of the general thing, like, go jump off a rock or whatever.
He's
I just
having
love-
fun.
He is, and he's having fun, so he's fun to watch.
He loves his job. He's one of the
He
lucky ones. He
does.
actually loves his
He
job.
does. I know a lot of people don't really think highly of this series, but I'm telling you, give it a chance because this show has so much gold inside of it. And Skeletor, this interpretation of Skeletor is just gold from beginning to end. Just the way he's introduced and the way he evolves, his sick, mean sense of humor, just great. I just love this version of Skeletor.
I kind of want to be his buddy.
I
I
kind of do too.
of
Like Skeletor, I'm not going to betray you. I just want to hang out with you.
Yeah,
dude.
because you do
I just wanna
cool
watch you-
evil stuff.
I just want to watch you blacksmith. That's all.
Like, really good. Meanwhile, that whole attack that's going on back at Eternia is pretty
Eternos.
cool, I reckon.
It
You know,
is.
the whole-
It's very cool.
Yeah, because they're surrounded by these things, and they've got a dome, haven't they? They've got something to protect them as such.
Yes.
Um,
Every sci-fi city has a dome.
it does. It's kind of mandatory at this point.
It
isn't
is.
it? Um,
Do you imagine the
Yeah,
city
but I
inspector
like-
coming by saying, "Excuse me,
Yeah, but
where
I
is
like
your
it.
dome?"
I like the idea they had at least a defense against something that seems overwhelming. And you think, well, how's this going to end? It's just, are they going to blow up the mothership and everything else kind of just falls down?
No,
'Cause that's what
Skeletor
generally
just
happens when you're
Skeletor
overwhelmed.
just punches his way through it in the first try. It's like,
Nah,
having a
but
good
it's the
time.
Masters. It's a great scene where they start taking out those ships one by one, and I
oh,
dug it.
you're missing them putting their weapons back together though, which I thought was both hilarious
Yeah.
and tense because they didn't know if their weapons were going to blow up.
Yes.
So they do the whole power of the whole power of Grayskull thing, and then they're like, okay, everything's fine, and then their weapons start shaking, and they're like, oh no!
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I thought that's. I like the idea of Duncan. Finally, Duncan. He's good, but he's not going to be able to solve everything. And they do. They really is a bit of gaffer tape job with the with their weapons, but it's great.
Well, it got de-gaffer taped though, and I thought that was a great sequence. But yeah, the Masters show up, and there's this great mid-air battle with.
It's
and
really good.
There's one scene when Battle Cat is jumping from drone to drone, and at one point they fire something at him, and he catches it in his mouth and just goes, and it blows up. And I'm just like, oh, you badass kitty! I just love you.
Yeah. Nah, it's a really well executed scene.
Best version of Battle Cat ever. Best version of Cringer ever. An amazing Skeletor. Just for those two reasons right there, you just need to watch the show.
I resent the fact that I got onto this so late because I know there's not another. I feel like at first season, I know why they greenlit the second one. I know that. So that's how I'm going to judge the show. I absolutely know why they greenlit the second season because the first season's great. Hopefully I don't get to end of season 3 and go, oh, yeah, it was time to end it because so far it's been great. Yeah, no comment. We'll just leave it at that. Let's move it on.
You feel cheated.
Yeah, there's the
at the end.
hatchet job. There's the liquid nails. I think he's used liquid nails.
Well, it kind of reminds me of there's a word for it. It's a Japanese word, but it's repairing broken things with gold, and it makes them more valuable. That's kind of what that reminded me of, and I thought that was really cool. I wish they'd left that in there, but
yeah.
We don't do that.
Oh, there's their. They've got their own logos. This is how well designed the Martins are. Their branding. They've got their own look and style logo.
Well, it's that Pokemon kind of thing going on where they have the attacks and everything. To me, that's a little annoying. But
it kind of goes with the territory.
Yeah, it's they were trying to appeal to a different audience. I'm not in that audience. I understand that. But as a grumpy old bastard, I was being really, really annoyed by it.
And they're not quite. They're still kind of hearkening back to the transformation scene, aren't they?
They really
transformation scene since day one. So.
Oh yeah, and it takes up time and it saves budget because they get to use it over and over and over again. It's like Voltron.
Yeah, exactly. Great hero shot. This is their mid-battle scene. This is where you're seeing now the He-Men and the Master of the Universe like really firing all cylinders now. They're ready for battle. And what a battle it is. Even these shots, Jason, look at that. It's just
great.
A faraway top-down shot. And there's so much happening in that shot already. It's beautifully animated.
It is.
It is. And it's...
The animation on this show, had no right to be this good.
Why is this show not... The stories are good. It's well animated. I wonder why this didn't fire as big as it maybe should have. Or maybe it did and I'm just not aware of it. But
I think that it was such a departure. Well, two things. One, it was a huge departure. They basically took the bare bones of what He-Man was and hung new skin on it and say, okay, this is what it is now. You can share the power. Adam's an orphan. And lots of older people don't like change. And so they started bad-mouthing it before they saw it because unfortunately we've seen that happen.
yes,
I don't think that it quite resonated with young people the way that Netflix wanted it to. And so they just kind of, I don't know. I don't think it performed quite as well as they were expecting it to.
Disappointing because it is quality. There's no doubt about it.
It is. It's incredible quality.
And you would have thought that the audience who were deep into She-Ra at that point would have come across because maybe it's not as good a quality. Because that's a real high watermark.
It is.
Power. It's probably an unfair statement to say that. But, those people who were accepting of change in that show, you would have thought they would have come across. But I think the real key to this is they didn't know quite what age group they were targeting. And in this modern day, you go to a toy store, which, we do often. I don't find a lot of action figures dominating the aisles as much as they used to when I was a kid. Like, you still have them, but you don't have it as it used to be. And I think that's the other thing is kids are into different things now, maybe more than action figures. I think that's really a Generation X, maybe millennial thing is action figures. But yeah, there you go.
Perhaps so. I think that's another thing is the toys didn't sell well, which we all know that is a high mark for any kind of animated series that the toys didn't sell
well. The other thing is at that time Mattel dropped 4 different lines of He-Man
and there were
toys?
2 He-Man series running at the same time as well, so that was probably confusing.
Yeah, so they probably should have paced it out a little bit more.
They probably should have, but they had that sweet content. It's not like an actor strike was coming or anything.
Nice little family reunion.
My gosh.
Jace.
Every screenshot from this show honestly looks like a painting if you look at it.
Yeah. I love it because it is Randor and Keldor coming face to face, dealing with some family.
Doesn't this shock you?
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, he's got the ego enough to kind of go, look at like, there's like a 5% Stuart Griffin in there, like in some ways, I think.
I didn't think of it that way, but you're absolutely right.
He's a little bit pompous and thinks he's amazing. But yeah, another great fight. They're good fights, although I still think the sword is too big.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. They kind of went
over the
Kingdom
top
Hearts and Final Fantasy with that. It's a little too much.
Mind you, different show, but when you see giant swords in Kingdom Hearts and all those kind of games, these giant swords, you think that'll never work well in the live action arena. Go watch One Piece because it works really well.
One Piece did whatever it wanted to do.
Yeah, but it took a lot of those things in anime you think would never transfer from animation to live action, and they made it work.
They did. They did not care either. It was like, what? It's going to look silly if Luffy's made of rubber? Watch this. He's about to blow up like a pufferfish. And I love it.
Teela finding her own at this point now, Jace. This is the moment where we now go, all right, Teela knows who she is. She knows his purpose. Like, self-discovery times over, lady. You know who you are.
Yeah, I like that. That was a good moment.
Yeah, it's absolutely a good moment. And then this moment.
Yes, Grayskull under attack because Skeletor is playing fourth dimensional chess on a board that's on fire with, lava dripping everywhere. The man does not mess around. He's going after Grayskull because that's the perfect distraction to get He-Man out of his hair.
Exactly. And then, obviously...
Oh, great.
What a great
look at that image. Just love it.
Yeah.
How do I look?
Yeah, look at that thing on him. He looks like he's wearing that... Who was that rap artist that would wear the giant clocks?
Oh, Flava Flav.
Yeah, he's got a bit of Flava Flav.
Yeah,
But that essentially, ties up, the series, which ties it up with Skeletor taking the throne of Eternos.
Yeah, it was a great cliffhanger. Skeletor on the throne. Grayskull disappearing, the Masters separated.
Mind controlled. It's like, I've won. This is the Empire Strikes Back. No good guys winning this one. Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah,
and
I loved it.
That is bold. That is
very
bold for a first season ending.
Yep.
Because normally you would tie up that storyline and have a happy ending because you don't know if you're going forward. So, but they did something really cool there. It's a show that, like I said, I had folded arms, but the first season is a really good first season.
It is. It's spectacularly good.
Yeah, it's really good, well defined. It took a few episodes for me to let loose of my expectations and predispositions to this universe and let them go, which I was able to because the writers did such a great job in the episodes keeping the characters engaging. And if someone had said to you before this series, by the way, Battle Cat, good old Cringer, is now going to be your favourite character, one of your favourite characters, you would have said no way.
Oh, I would have said yes way because I loved Cringer and Battle Cat in the original series.
No, I love Battle Cat. But I was okay with Cringer. But
I was a dumb kid. Cringer was funny. Adam, I'm so scared.
I'm so scared, and then
Please don't turn me into an indestructible kitty cat. I'm too
well,
scared.
that's true. But I really like this one. Very wise. He's a journeyman. This Battle Cat. He's been through trauma, and again, this modern writers of He-Man and She-Ra, they don't mind digging into trauma and dealing with it.
No, they don't.
They just go for it.
They kind of did the same thing in Revelations with Cringer because they made him wiser and they made him a victim of a very traumatic event that destroyed his life, and he came back as a stronger person. Tiger came back as a stronger tiger.
Yep. Yep. A Tiger King, perhaps.
The Tiger King. Yeah.
Also on Netflix.
And I do like that they allow Battle Cat to speak in this show because for some reason or another in He-Man 2002 and in Revelations they don't let Battle Cat speak, and I think that was always my favorite thing in Battle Cat. Yeah, it is.
Cringer is always spoken.
Yeah, it's just.
But yeah, Battle Cat can't. Well, no, Battle Cat did, but it would be like 3 words.
Rah, He-Man, I am Battle Cat. I have no personality other than to complain. Rah.
Yeah. Rather, this is a very educated version of Cringer,
Yes.
I feel.
Well,
Anyway,
that's one
great
thing that
first
always.
season.
That's one thing that always bothered me about Filmation, Cringer, and Battle Cat is that He-Man and Prince Adam are basically, personality-wise, they're the same person. But Cringer and Battle Cat are two separate entities.
Mm.
They are basically, and maybe that's why Cringer was always afraid, because where did Cringer go whenever he was turned into Battle Cat?
Oh, we got
what if
split
he went?
personality.
What if he went nowhere? What if he was just like in this void, just floating around going, Adam, and then all of a sudden he's back in his body? What if he's scared that something's going to happen to Battle Cat while he's in that void and he's never going to come back?
Oh, what if when he goes into the void, he's in just agonizing pain the whole time? That's why he's terrified of going in.
And that's why he comes in, there's like demons poking him with sticks and everything. Ah! He switches places with Battle Cat. Battle's Cat like, come on, bring it on. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
There's an episode idea in there somewhere.
There you go.
But I like that Cringer and Battle Cat are the same character in this show. I just like that.
Yeah, so do I. I like Adam more
Mhm.
than the Filmation series. I kind of like where Adam's kind of going at and him dealing with stuff. The younger characters, all of them, was the other thing I really had to get over this season, having a young man at arms. How did I feel about that? That was probably the character that took the longest to kind of accept that. But once I did, I'm all in on Duncan. I kind of like the kid. I like the fact that he's not perfect at what he does too. He
Yes.
kind of just, he's not like the best mechanic, but he'll get your car started.
Yeah, he's going to try.
He might,
He will not stop trying until he's
hanging
successful.
out and that everywhere, but it'll run. So I like that about him. Ram Man is probably the one that I haven't discovered, but like I said, I've got to watch more episodes. We'll come back across. So, I mean, we're not ever gives this stuff a score, but it's a 7, 8 out of 10 for a first season, I would say.
Yeah,
in my mind.
it's a strong first season. I stand by it. It's quality. If at this point, if you're not at least giving it a shot, you're doing that out of stubbornness, and you're hurting nobody but yourself.
It reminds me of Lower Decks because in Lower Decks, their animation style looks simplistic. However, the more closer you look at their animation, and this is the same, the more detailed and nuanced it becomes.
Yes.
And if you look at this show, at the surface, it looks like simple CGI graphics. But the longer you stare at it, Jason, the more things you uncover. We spoke about this in one of the previous episodes. The way they do all explosions or any movement of Earth is all hand animated.
Yes, and it looks spectacular.
It's a beautiful design choice.
There's an episode in the 3rd season where they're in snow, and it looks like real snow. Whenever it falls off of things, it comes to pieces, and it like sticks to skin. And you're just watching this thinking, how does this look so good?
Yeah. So, again, it's one of those really good special things you get from this show is, wow, it looks so good. Same thing with Lower Decks. I remember this first thing Lower Decks going, all right, that looks like they've used leftover cell animation from Family Guy. And then you actually watch it go, oh, no, they have put a lot of work into this. So, fantastic. And how's this show? Jason, great recommendation. I'm so glad we're back into this now. We've taken a couple of months off, but we're back ending what is ended up being ending season 1, which has ended up being fantastic, and now we move into season 2.
Plow
We're
into
back.
season 2. So
Yes.
my recommendation is that season 2 is an 8-episode season. So
Yes.
I recommend that we take them 2 episodes at a time, because it appears that they go in cycles of 2. For example, the first 2 episodes are The World Above. The second episode is called The World Below. And I will say that we get introduced to another legacy character in the first 2 episodes. And
Right,
the
fantastic.
reinterpretation of this character is pretty fantastic, and I like him so much that I actually
Ooh.
bought the action figure because I like him so much.
Well, I'm definitely not going to see who that is because I like being surprised. So when
I'm not going to say a word.
Fantastic. Well, guys, we're glad to be back. We're glad that you're back watching it with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that kind of wonderful thing. It's one of the, being He-Man fans and being 40 years later, and I'm still have the same amount of enthusiasm, if not more, and excitement around this franchise. It's wonderful and incredible. And we love going back and revisiting. Now, all we need is by the end of the year is Moneybags Mattel greenlight the movie. We just had some wonderful news when Nintendo's greenlit a live-action Zelda. If they could do that, guys, come on, Mattel, with those billions of dollars. Let's get a He-Man.
What's wrong,
Masters
Mattel? Do you
universe.
not like making money?
Exactly.
Or did you just make
I
$1
feel like
billion
those
off of
glasses
Barbie?
are from
and-
Barbie.
I was
They
thinking they
look like
look
the
more
ones she
like,
was wearing at the pool.
perhaps. I was thinking they look more like Mechanics glasses.
It does look a bit like Mechanic, hey?
Mechanic and Barbie
Stick
have
that.
the same glasses. Maybe that could be the plot. Mechanic wants his glasses back, and Barbie says no.
Hey,
She-Ra gives Barbie the sword of protection. Barbie becomes She-Barbie.
maybe she then sends Mechanic into the real world like she had to go through the movie, and Mechanic goes through an existential crisis.
Yeah, he steps through
Ends
the
up
portal, and
getting arrested
his
for
neck
being
ends
a
up collapsing
ping
from
pong.
being his neck ends up collapsing from being too heavy. You want to go home?
Yes.
Man at Arms steps through with it.
pain.
Man in Arms steps through with a scalpel, going, "You are home."
That's it. Yeah. All right, guys. It's been a hoot. We'll catch you guys next time on what we like to call, like how Jason likes to pronounce,
The power of J Skull.